Hello, my Teaserking family. Welcome to class 2. There'll be a class 3 later on the Big 12, which I keep promising you, but I will do it today. I got a barbecue chicken, so I will do that at the same time. I just talked about Basel III and inflation and gold and Citibank and all our key financials in my last video, which I just finished. Now we're going to talk baseball. Gold's making a nice move, 33.47. Silver 36.47. So they're getting good. We're getting the rise. Let's see if we can get to 34. I know there's a lot of derivatives before once we hit 3,400, knocking it back down, but there was the same thing at 2,000. There was the same thing at 2,500. There was the same thing at 3,000. And now as we edge to 3,500. I did explain the hardest part having gold. It's not an investment. It's money. You do it to get out of the dollar, to keep your money, keep your wealth. And the hardest thing is, let's say we want to take a trip to Europe. We'll go to Italy. Let's say we want to go to Italy or Germany or Switzerland. And you want to use gold for it. All right, you take an ounce and you get 33.47 for it. So you're feeling pretty good. Most of your gold, like I said, if you have 100 ounces, you probably want 75 ounces stored away very safely, and you're not going to touch, because when the gold price hits 10,000, 20,000, you're going to want to not spend it if possible. But if you are, and you want to go, you have and you don't have a lot of cash because you turned it in for gold and silver, then you want to take it and go into gold. You want to spend a little bit of it, but most of the majority, you got to wait for the 10,000 an ounce and the $1,000 an ounce silver. And I know people, Luke, who sit there and go, well, it's not going to hit $1,000 silver. Oh, it will. Just like gold. Did you think gold would hit 2,000? Did you think it would hit 3,000? Probably not. And then did you think it would hit 33.46? Probably not. But you're not seeing the big picture. It's getting to the real price. It's been suppressed. That's what JP Morgan and the British banks are doing. They're suppressing it. They're playing this game of keeping the price down, but it only works if there's no demand for physical, which we have demand for physical, which is what's killing comebacks, and it will destroy it. And then you add Basel III, which makes everything more physical. The demand for physical will jump through the roof, and they won't be able to play their games because of Basel III and the thing. Just one second. All right, so that's what I talked about in the last one, but that's what your biggest problem is. You don't want to spend all your gold now at only 33.46. You want to spend it at some at 10,000, some at 20. It depends what you need, and it depends if you're working, and it depends how much money you have. And I'm just about retired. Give me $100 silver, and I'm retired. I'm pretty much retired now anyway, but it's if I get a nice offer, I'll take it, but I'm not going to go work at a grocery store or something. I don't, that's between the gold and silver and the cards, the baseball cards I show you. No, I don't have a Rolex, but anyway, that's the key to it. So we're looking good. Let's go to baseball. Oh, wait, let's see how the Dow's making out today. Wondering why in the God's name is it going up? It's down $34 to 44,460. If this isn't price fixed and manipulated, I don't know what is, because there's no way the stock market should be this high. All right, so let's go to baseball. I've been red hot since the middle of June. I think I've got it figured out. Let's look at yesterday. I played the Yankees under 8 because Max Fried was pitching. How did Toronto get the 12? Well, they didn't do it until the 8th and 9th inning, and Max Fried only pitched, I think, 6 innings. It was really strange. I think he might have pitched 7, but let's look at the box score. We had Scanes going and Fried going. We hit the Scanes game. It was 0-0 in the bottom of the 8th. All right, so we see what happens here. Basically, it's Toronto gets 4 in the 4th, and then 5 in the 7th, and 3 in the 8th. So it was not Fried's better effort. What the fuck? So Fried pitched 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, 4 runs on 3 hits and 2 walks and 2 home runs. So he gave up 2 home runs, which is surprising. To Toronto, the game was at Toronto. Kevin Gausman pitched 5 innings, gave up 6 hits and 2 runs. So really, Fried gave up 2 home runs, which is very unusual. George Springer hit 1, and Andrews Gomez hit 1. And it went from 2-0 to all of a sudden 2-1, and then 4-2. So Andres Gimenez was a 3-run homer, and that ended the under there. So it happens, but Max Fried with his 1.9 ERA, you're going to bet on it. Miami wins again. They have now won 8 in a row. Keep an eye on that. We had them under 7.5, 2 units, that one. Pittsburgh, Paul Scanes. We go to the bottom of the 8th. It's still tied at 0. Pittsburgh finally gets a run in, and then the 9th, and that was it. Pitts wins 1-0. Paul Scanes was our lock. It was our 5 unit under 7.5. Oakland, Tampa. We bet Tampa over 8.5. And with 2 bad pitchers, and Oakland wins 4-3 in 10 innings. So we couldn't even get help. We had 8.5, and they scored 7. California 4, Atlanta nothing. We didn't play. The Cubbies 5, Cleveland 2. We didn't play it, but we circled the Cubs -8 with Matthew Boyd. Texas, Baltimore. We had DeGrom going. Texas was a 3-unit play. We hit 10-2. First, I thought I bet it under, but then I realized I didn't. I was pretty happy about that. Houston 6-5 over Colorado. We didn't play. Arizona 8-2 over the Niners. Normally we play the Niners under, but we laid away. Kansas City 6, Seattle 3-9. We had Seattle over 8, 2-unit play. The Dodgers 6, the White Sox 1. And then that leaves us, we had Philadelphia under, postponed. We had Detroit, Washington, Detroit over, postponed. And then there was 3, and then, and Milwaukee and the Mets, but we didn't play it. We did like Milwaukee under, but we didn't play it. And Cincinnati, Boston was suspended from the rain. So there was a lot of rain. 2 of our bets were rained out. Let me get my toast. You got to love pita bread. You can kind of overcook it and it still tastes fine. A little overcooked. I had it on a couple of minutes, but you don't really notice it. It's just hard, but it's okay. All right. So Miami's now on an 8-game win streak. There wasn't really any other streaks. The Yankees are not under. If they don't go under with Max Fried now, that dynamic has shifted. Black's starting to hit the roulette wheel. The Yankees are starting to hit, although they only have 3 hitters. Goldschmidt, who has been in a massive slump, the Judge has been in a pretty big slump. He went from 420 to like 360. That's still 60 points down. And they have a couple others, but overall they got a lot of 240 hitters because they got 3 good hitters and 2 bad hitters, and the rest are like DJ LeMahieu is hitting like 240. So we lose the Yankees 2 units. We hit Miami under 7.5, 2 units, so we're even. We hit Pitt under 7.5 was our lock, 5 units. We lose Tampa over 8.5, 2 units, so we're still up 3 units. Then we hit Texas for 3 units. Now we're up 6 units. And then we hit Seattle over 8.5. We're up 8 units. We go 4-2 for the day. Again, now we're away from the Yankee under, but you had to play it with Fried, or you were going to play the Yankees. Either way, you lost. Texas won 12-5, Toronto won, which shows us Toronto's hitting. We might have to now play Toronto over. And Tampa Bay over 8.5, just bad pitching. And, Tampa just didn't hit. Okay, so that's that. Let's go into this before I do today's games. So we saw this headline, our fan, Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Why former Met star and his contract are... And I've advised Bobby to try to get gold instead of money on it. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Why former Met star and his contract are celebrated every July 1st. I think we talked about it a little yesterday. For 16 seasons, Bobby Bo put up excellent numbers in the majors. The utility man, I thought you were an actual player, Bobby. I didn't realize you were a utility man. Recorded a strong 124 OPS plus. I don't know what that means. Over that period, making 6 All-Star games. Good for you, Bobby. And finishing in the top 3 in MVP voting twice. Well, for a utility man, wow. But for all his accomplishments as a player, Bobby is far more remembered for what came after. In baseball circles, July 1st is recognized as Bobby Bo Day. Well, I didn't know that till yesterday. On that day, baseball fans in the know celebrate one extremely smart decision. I'm going to say an extremely stupid decision by Bo and his agent, who needs to be fired, when he was a member of the Mets. Bobby Bo Day explained. Bobby is celebrated every July 1st because that day the Mets have to pay him $1.2 million. Bobby hasn't played in the majors since 2001, but receives yearly checks from the Mets after agreeing to a deferred deal with the team in 2000. As a result, Bobby will be paid $1.2 million by the Mets every year until 2035, when he'll be 72 years old. But he hasn't realized there's inflation. He doesn't understand the dollar's going out and gold. We'll get into that in a minute. Bobby Bo, Mets Bobby initially signed a 5-year, $29 million contract with the Mets ahead of the 1992 season. But that's not the contract that led to Bobby Bonilla Day. After 3.5 seasons with the Mets, Bonilla was traded away. They traded you, Bobby? Jesus. After spending time with Baltimore, Bonilla signed a 4-year, $23 million contract with Miami before they were Florida in 1997. That's the deal that resulted in Bobby Bo Day. So you had a 4-year, $23 million deal in 1997 money. Big mistake there. While the Marlins handed Bobby that contract, the team never intended to pay it out. After helping the team win a World Series in 97, Bonilla was traded the following year in the team's infamous fire sale. He spent a half season with the Dodgers before he was traded back to the Mets. Nobody wanted you, Bobby. It's so sad. For the 1999 MLB season, Bobby struggled that season. Oh, Bobby, you're like Mano. Last season you didn't hitting 160. Jesus. At the end of the season, the Mets told Bonilla he was going to be released, but he still had $5.9 million remaining on his contract. Instead of paying out that $5.9 million to Bobby immediately, the team wanted to defer payments on the deal, believing it could make more profit through investments with Bernie Madoff. Oh, they made a lot with Bernie until they didn't have any money left. As a result, the Mets agreed to pay Bobby $1.1 million every year, with those payments starting in 2011 going through 2035. Oh, okay. So it's 20 years. Okay. The Madoff investment turned out to be a Ponzi scheme. Yeah, we know that. One that was highly embarrassing for former Mets owner Jeff Wilpon. As a result, the $5.9 million that Bobby was owed has swelled to $29.8. That's not a bad deal for a player who hasn't taken it. Okay, I don't get how 5.9 turns into 29. If you're owed 5.9, why would I give you 29 million? So we can thank Madoff for that one. Do the Mets celebrate Bobby Bo Day? Upon Wilpon's ownership, the Mets didn't exactly broadcast the fact that they needed to pay a former player nearly $1.2 million every season due to a bad investment by the team owner. Had he bought gold, that changed after Steve Cohen purchased the team in 2020. The Mets don't hold a ceremony or celebration in honor of Bobby, but Cohen has acknowledged the unofficial baseball holiday on social media, calling it a favorite day of the year. I hope everybody is enjoying my favorite day of the year, Bobby Bonilla Day. This is Steve Cohen saying this in 2022. Cohen assumed those payments after taking ownership of the Mets, and it's nice to see he has a good sense of humor about it. MLB deferred contracts. Bobby is far from the only player to receive deferred money from a team. The practice has become more popular over the years. The Washington Nationals made a habit of signing players to deferred deals during the contention window between. Man, it really fucks the players up. People don't understand that. Let's explain. The Dodgers will pay deferred money to Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts long after they are finished paying. Though, of course, the team's most famous deferred deal is a 10-year, $700 million contract with Ohtani. That deal contains a staggering $600 million in deferred money. Oh, another idiot. These agents are just, this is why you must have an economist in your back pocket. So the evidence that Bobby's deal wasn't the first time an MLB issued deferred payments to a player. Catfish Hunter, Sparky Lyle, Bruce Sutter, and Jim Rice were among the players who received deferred money from teams prior to Bonilla's thing. Bobby's agreement with the Mets also isn't his only deferred payment from MLB. He receives $500,000 from the Orioles every year. Those payments started in 2004. Were set to end. Bobby, you know how much money you're losing here? You're losing a fortune. So now let's ask, why is Bobby losing all this money? Well, there's two things, and they're both economics. One, time value of money. Two is inflation. What does inflation do? It devalues the money. Which means $1 million in 2001 versus $1 million in 2025 aren't close to being worth the same amount. So Bobby's probably getting out of his $1.2 million, probably getting about $200,000 in real value for his money now. It's lost 99% of its value, but since 71. So he's not getting what he should be. he should, and he's asked, and we've talked about it here. He's asked to get paid in gold, the $1.2 million, but they refused. So they basically screwed Bobby. And this Shotani's getting screwed, but he's too stupid to understand it. You must understand inflation. So I was working at Visteon in 2000, 2001, 2005, and I was getting about $50,000. And now I was getting $100,000 at Mercedes. Where was I getting more? I was getting more at Visteon at $50,000 than I did the $100,000 at Mercedes. Because time value money and inflation, the money was worth a lot more back then. As they keep inflating it, you're getting pennies on the dollar. So as Bobby's financial advisor, I told him to take your $1.2 million, and while the dollar still has some value, go buy gold with it. And that's what Bobby needs to do. Then he actually has $1.2 million. And as gold goes up, Bobby makes a ton of money. And that's where Bobby needs to buy his precious metals. So the contract seems good. Oh, I get $1 million till 2035. But what's the $1 million worth? Sorry. And that's the problem. The $1 million back then is worth more than the $1 million today because of all the money printing and inflation and the money not worth anything. Then you get off of the petrodollar, and we get off of the FX with BRICS and the demand for gold. Bobby would have been better off getting $1.2 million in gold in 2001, and that's it. Forget the deferred payments. So if you are getting deferred payments, you need to get it in gold and silver because this doesn't have a value now. So Bobby's getting something that's worthless. That's the problem. So it's nice to get $1 million, but it's not for his worth. It's not. Now I read that he was due $5 million. So why they gave him $1 billion a year, I don't know. That was pretty shrewd of Bobby to get that, but he needed to get it in gold, or he needs to take the $1.2 million he got yesterday and convert it to gold ASAP, especially with Basel III. And here's BRICS. We're going broke. So you're going to get $1.2 million. What are you going to get in 2035 when the dollar has no value? What are you going to get? Because there won't be a dollar to pay you. This is what, again, he's not, the agent was incapable of understanding economics. This is where he needed a guy like me. I would have never recommended it. I would have, or at least put a hedge in for inflation. So I want $1 million, but then I want to add inflation of 50% a year. So by 2035, I'm getting 20 million to get my $1 million. That's why salaries are so high. And this Shotani is an idiot because he's getting what, $680 million deferred, which means he'll get nothing. So he thinks he signed this big contract, but he'll get nothing because it won't have a value. When the dollar collapses, what are these guys going to get paid in? Now it shows you how stupid the owners are. They're in with Madoff. That's how dumb they are. So this is the problem, right? People don't understand what they're getting themselves into. They think, oh, it's great, I'll get $1 million every year, thinking it's the same million in 2001 as it's going to be in 2025. It's not the same million you got in 2001. So now you're really getting screwed. You're getting maybe 200,000, and by 2030, you'll be getting like $10,000 if the dollar even exists. And that's the problem. So my advice to Bobby is take the money and buy gold with it. If you want to keep your million too, it's nice you're getting it, but you got to realize you're not getting that. And even the gold, it's 3,000. Let's call it 3,400 to keep it simple. 3,400 an ounce. So in 2001, I guess it started in 2010. Well, let's say whatever. In 2001, the gold price was $200. He could have bought 5,000 ounces of gold back then. Well, now for $1 million, you're not getting that much gold. 100,000, you can only get, what do you get, about 30 ounces, 25 ounces, versus when gold was 500 an ounce, you're getting like 100 ounces. That's how you got to measure it. Instead of getting 100 ounces of gold, I can only get, 25, 100. Something like maybe 30. I can get about 30 ounces, 28 ounces for my 100,000. So times it by 10. So I can get, let's say 30. So I can get 300 ounces, where before I could probably get 100 ounces. That's the other. And I could have been making money on my money because the ounce went from, let's say, 500 to now it's 3,300. So you could have been making a fortune. So that's the only problem, Bobby. You got screwed. You need to fire your agent, and you need to sue him for incompetence, putting you in a situation that he didn't factor in gold or inflation. So I would sue the guy for whatever the price of gold was in 2001 to 3,000. We're at 3,400. So I would sue him for that. He fucked you up, your agent. An attorney not knowing economics. He should have reached out to me, and I would have told him inflation, gold price. We didn't know about BRICS back then, but we knew about inflation back then. We've known about it since 1971. We knew Rome and all these other countries that went out. So we did know about BRICS back then. BRICS had just started, but we knew inflation. It's a bad deal, these deferred contracts. You think it's good, I'll get $1 million. But the $1 million you're getting is not worth $1 million. The $1 million this year is worth more than $1 million next year. Time value of money. All right. So anyway, Bobby, good luck. Go buy some gold with it. And let's look at today's baseball. It's 12:41. Oakland's already up 2-0 on Tampa. And St. Louis and Pitt just started 105. Okay, so we'll start with San Diego, Philly. So I read that Bryce Harper did come off the injured list. So I don't know if, again, they didn't play yesterday. As far as I can see, you got Philly, San Diego, Detroit, Washington, Milwaukee, and the Mets are going to play double headers today. How do you handle double headers? Well, the players are much more tired because they start at 1:05 and then they go at 6 o'clock is the next game. Totally ridiculous. They should play them right after another. You're tiring out your own players. Oh, but you get gate money. Oh, yeah. What? So 5,000 fans on a Wednesday come to the game. So that's the first problem. Then we got the relief pitchers, and the way these managers manage, they're so stupid. Whoever's starting will go at the most 6 innings, his 90 pitches, and then he will bring in the bullpen. Well, you got to do that 2 games worth. Do you use the same bullpen, or do you got to go to other bullpen? And everybody seems to have 8 or 9 bullpen pitchers who are which, and you don't have 9 quality major league pitchers in your bullpen. That's bullshit. So you probably want to, depending on the pitcher, you probably go over in the second game just because they're tired. And although it's hard because they're going to be tired to hit, but the bullpen, you probably can't use the same guys. Otherwise, I don't know why. All right, so let's try to figure this out. San Diego, Philly. San Diego minus 115 and 9. Nick Pivetta 8-2 with the 3.36. Mike Abel 2-1 with the 3.47. I don't like the game. We did have Philly under yesterday, but I don't think it's the same pitchers. Detroit at Washington. Tyler Holton, bullpen guy, 3-3 with the 4.34 against Trevor Williams, 3-9 with the 5.65. So let's go over, which is what we had yesterday. We had Washington over 9.5. Now we get Washington over 9. And we'll go 2 units. Now we know Detroit's stealing signs because they have all these bad hitters hitting 270, like Happy Baez hitting 290. Are you fucking kidding me? The guy couldn't hit a curveball. Well, if you know the curveball is coming, you don't swing at it, you don't strike out as much. So that's what you see there. So we know that. So Detroit should hit because they know all the signs. And then Washington's been hitting 3-9 with the 5.65. So they should hit this Holton guy, who apparently will pitch 1 inning, and then Montero will pitch 5 innings because he can't start. This is a major leaguer? Okay, so I don't understand that, but let's go over 9. Milwaukee and the Mets, we had nothing yesterday. We've got Freddie Peralta 8-4 at the 2.90 and Clay Holmes 8-4 at the 2.97. So we will play this game under 8.5. 2 units. We like the pitchers. Milwaukee has 6 hitters and the Mets have 5 hitters. So Milwaukee, we'll keep an eye on for the second game on the over. Now, game 2, San Diego, Philly. Philly 150 and 8. Dylan Cease, my man. He's been okay, but he's getting he's not what he should be against Christopher Sanchez. 6-2 with the 2.79. Let's check Dylan. Dylan's a good pitcher. He's struggling for some reason this year. From Georgia, he's a Bulldog. So his last game against Cincinnati, 4 innings, gave up 4 runs. KC 6 innings, gave up 1 run. The Dodgers, 5 innings, gave up 6 runs. And then it was against the Dodgers. He shut them out. So go figure that out. You think, oh, he doesn't like the Dodgers. Well, at home, he shuts them out. At LA, he gives up 6 runs. That's where the ballpark does make a difference. It's much smaller at the Dodgers. 3 runs to the 49ers, 3 runs to the Pirates, 3 runs to Atlanta, 3 runs. So he's only had really the good game against the Dodgers, 7 innings, 0. Then he followed that up with 6 runs, and then 1 runs to KC, and then 4 runs. So I'm not betting him under. He's too inconsistent for some reason. Christopher Sanchez, I like. Philly should hit him. Game 2, I'm not betting Sanchez over. So I'm going to watch this game. If it wasn't a doubleheader, I might bet it under. But I don't know. Sanchez, yeah, probably a little bit on Philly there. But I don't want to bet against Cease. She could shut you out. We don't know. Minnesota, Miami. Minnesota 128.5. Simon Woods Richardson 3-4 at the 4.63. Jansen Junk 2-0 with the 3.73. By the way, Miami is on an 8-game win streak. We have to play the streak, so we go Miami 2 units. And that's what we want. They're just on a streak. You bet the streak till it ends, just like we did with the Yankees under. And I'm not sure Baltimore over is another streak, or let's see. Yeah, or now the Yankees, Toronto might be a streak on the over. We'll have to keep an eye on that. So we take Miami on an 8-game win streak, pure and simple. And Junk is a 3.73, which Richardson's a 4.63. So we really have the better pitcher. They're at home. They're hot. We'll see. Detroit, Washington game 2. This is where we were at. Joe Flaherty 5-9 with a 4.80 for Detroit. Mackenzie Gore 3-8 with the 3.09. So I like Washington in the second game, but Mackenzie Gore's 3-8. Flaherty. So let's go over in this game. So we'll go over in both games. Over 8, 2 units. Flaherty stinks. They try to, he's getting better in his mechanics. And, you hear the manager and you're like, what are you watching? The guy's 5-9 with the 4.80 ERA. What are you watching? At what point do you think he's getting better? He's not good. He's not getting any better. He's getting worse. I think Washington can light him up. Washington has 5 hitters and only 1 bad hitter, which means the other guys hitting 230 and 240 can get hits. And Detroit was 6 hitters, again, stealing the signs. And it's obvious these 220 hitters are hitting 270. Are you kidding me? All right. Let's go to the Yankees in Toronto. That was a high-scoring game yesterday, beating Max Fried. Now, that's crucial because, if you can hit Max Fried, believe me, you can hit anybody else on the Yankees. Today, the Yankees are somehow favored 125-9. Will Warren 5-4 with the 4.37. Jose Berrios 4-3 with the 3.26. Now, New York's starting to hit. The total's 9. I don't know why. Will Warren's okay. I think he had a good game the last game. The Yanks 125. Now, here's where you got to be flexible as a gambler. We were just automatically taking the Yankees under for 2.5 weeks and winning every time. Okay, now when they go over with Max Fried, you must take a notice. The Toronto just killed them, and I don't see why that won't happen again. So this probably, I'm not going to bet this, but the Yankees over 9, I think, is the play. Toronto's hitting. I don't know if the Yankees are yet, but I think Toronto will be able to hit. Cincinnati, Boston, I don't have pitchers. I can't play it. Milwaukee and the Mets game 2. Jacob Mizorowski, 3-0 with a 1.13, who's a real 1.13. And Blade Tidwell for the Mets, 0-1 with a 10.13. Again, that's probably a 2 or 3 innings. He probably gave up 2 or 3 runs, but the ERA is based on 9 innings. So we have that. Do I like the game? This Mizorowski's real. And Milwaukee's been hot. They got 6 hitters, and the Mets got 5. Mizorowski's played in 4 games. Shutout. Gave up 2 runs to Minnesota. Shutout Pittsburgh. Oh, no, it was only 2. The Cub game, I don't know why they show it, is postponed. So he shuts out St. Louis. He gives up 2 runs to Minnie and shuts out Pitt. Well, St. Louis and Pitt don't really hit. So hard to get all happy with the 1.13 after just 3 games of playing 2 teams that don't hit. The Mets, Blade Tidwell, 0-1 with that. And he's the same thing. He played in 3 games, 3 innings, gave up 6 runs, 2 runs, and 4 runs. So he only gets through 3 innings. This guy's terrible. So I can see we're going to take Milwaukee then. This is game 2. 2 units, number 2. So I think we have the first game. Yeah, the first game, Peralta and Clay Holmes. Yeah, we got that under. That should be a good game. And then you get to the second game, and this is like the shit pitcher comes out. 3 innings, will give up 4 or 5 runs. So we'll take Milwaukee there. California and Atlanta. Atlanta won 39.5. UC Kikuchi for California, 3-6. The 2.79. It's like Scanes. He didn't get the win yesterday, but he shut him out for his 5-6 innings. Didier Fuentes 0-2 with the 10.80. So Atlanta's pitcher's in trouble. UC Kikuchi versus California, 3-6 with the 2.79. I'm going to let it go. I don't trust California, and Atlanta can hit. Cleveland and the Cubbies had it under yesterday, and it wasn't under. Cleveland plays a lot of under games. They got good bullpens. They can hit. Chicago 160-8. Tanner Bibby 4-8 with the 3.90. Shota Imanaga 4-2 with the 2.54 for the Cubs. I'm always afraid of these Japanese pitchers because this is like playing high school ball and now you're playing the pros, and it's a totally different thing. Tanner Bibby 4-8 with the 3.9. He was like a 2 ERA. He's now a 4. I don't love it. Cubs, no, I'm just going to pass. Cleveland's too good of a team that you just take the Cubs with this guy. Baltimore, Texas. We had Texas with DeGrom. He wins 10-2. They started to hit a little bit. Baltimore, Tomoyaka Sugana, 6-4 with the 4.06 against Nathan Eovaldi, 4-3 with the 1.87. But Nathan let us down last time. Nathan. Come on, man. Against Seattle, he pitched 3 innings and gave up 3 runs. Ouch. 2 innings against Toronto, 2 shutout innings, and then 6 innings where he gave up 1 run to the Yanks, 5-7. So I don't know what happened the last 2 outings. 2, he only gave up 2 hits, and then 3 where he gave up 3 hits. I don't know the last 2 games, so I'm not buying his ERA. Something's wrong where he's only going 2 innings. It's like Ohtani. Shotani's pitching 1 inning. Like, really? So a little bit an edge to Texas, but I can't trust Eovaldi for 3 innings. I can't bet it. Houston, Colorado. Houston 275, 10.5. Hunter Brown 8-3 with the 1.74. Austin Gomer 0-1 with the 2. We're going Houston here. And we'll go 3 units. Hunter Brown's very good. And Gomer's probably their best pitcher at 0-1 with the 6.14. Surprising he's 0-1. He must not last 5 innings. But he's got that 6 ERA. The 49ers in Arizona. This game went over yesterday, which is surprising because 49ers usually play under games because they can't hit. Arizona 145. 8.5. Landon Roop, 6-5, 3.43. Merrill Kelly, 7-4 with a 3.49. I can't really get excited about this game. Again, these guys with the 3.5 ERAs could shut you out or give up 7 runs, and especially Landon Roop and Merrill Kelly. So I'm going to lay away from that. Frisco doesn't hit, Arizona hits. So if you probably had to play, you maybe would play Arizona to win. But I don't like it. Kansas City, Seattle. We had Seattle over 8 yesterday, was a winner. I think they got to 9. Seattle 175-7. Noah Cameron, and I think KC won. 2-4 with the 2.79 against Logan Gilbert. 2-2 with the 3.55. Uncle Gilbert. That was a Munsters episode. 2.79. I don't. There's nothing. This is an under game, but I'm not going to 7 and forget it. In our last game, the White Sox at the Dodgers. The Dodgers won. The Dodgers 325-9. Brandon Iser 2-1 with the 4.33 against struggling Clayton Kershaw. 4-0 with the 3.03. It looks like he's getting a little bit back. He's up to 6 innings now. Came back May 17th. Gave up 5 runs to California. Then he gives up 5 runs to the Mets June 3rd. And then it's been 1-0-2-1 in 5 innings and a 6-inning one. So, again, it's Colorado and San Francisco. Brandon Isaac. Now, the White Sox have been playing better. I think the Dodgers win this game, but I don't like the 325, so I'm not going to play it. All right. Those are all the games. Cincinnati, Boston suspended. I believe that's from yesterday. Now, there's rain on the East Coast. The Tigers and the Mets and Phillies and Boston all got rained. Now, it rained hard here, I believe, Sunday. So they're getting the rain we had. You're welcome. Let's review. We got Washington over 9 in game 1 for 2 units. We got Milwaukee under 8.5 in game 1 for 2 units. We have Miami on the 8-game winning streak for 2 units. Washington over 8 in game 2, 2 units. Milwaukee, just Milwaukee, 2 units in game 2. And Houston for 3 units. They just play 1 game. So that's games. We like the Yankees over 9, but we're not playing it because we think we're going to keep an eye on Toronto going over and getting runs. The only streak I saw in a win-loss was Miami's on an 8-game winning streak. Now, I've got to find the next Yankee, like the 49ers probably, we bet them under most of the time. They can't hit. The 49ers have basically 2 good hitters, and they don't have Barry Bonds anymore. So they have 2 hitters. The Niners are a beautiful under team, especially with like a Verlander pitches. So I try to look at the scores, and I'm very good at seeing the trend. So when Toronto does what they did to Max Fried yesterday, that sticks out in my mind going, let's keep an eye on Toronto. But if you beat the ace and Fried, you're not, you're going to start hitting now. Because then psychologically, everybody goes, oh, we put up probably 4 runs on Fried. Let's go. So I think that's what they're doing. So anyway, that's it. So you've got 6 games. Unintentionally, I played Washington and Milwaukee in both ends of the doubleheader, but it was based on pitching. Otherwise, Miami, Houston. And I'm laying away from the Philly game. That's the San Diego Phillies pretty even. And the second Philly game, where is the second Philly game? Or is there not a second? Yeah, Dylan Cease and Christopher Sanchez should be an under, but Dylan Cease isn't pitching well. Philly could hit it. Probably want to bet Philly in the second game. But I am afraid of Dylan Cease. When he's on, he'll shut you out. And so I got to be careful. I don't really want to bet against him. I don't know. There's Christopher Sanchez. So I got to be careful. San Diego can win 1-0. So it's probably maybe an under bet, but I'm going to forget that. All right, let's go to the NFL. All right. We will do the Big 12 separately later. let's see what we've got cooking. NFL, let's see if there's any news, then we'll go through the lines. So the Steelers Dolphins had a trade. So the Dolphins traded Jalen Ramsey, all-pro cornerback or safety, and Jonnu Smith to the Steelers for Minkah Fitzpatrick, who I believe was a linebacker. So it's probably a wash. Obviously, Pittsburgh needed a cornerback, and I don't know what's going on with Fitzpatrick. Maybe they drafted some good defense. I think they did. And so I think they'd just rather have a corner than a linebacker. Formal negotiations on NFL, 18-game NFL schedule reportedly aren't coming anytime soon. That's ridiculous. An 18-game season. I watched these older games, and they just went to 14 games. And you could see the difference. Then they go to 16 and now 17. And with the Thursday night games, and I think it's just ridiculous. And these games in London and Germany and Mexico, I just don't understand it. Mexico seems to be West Coast teams because Mexico's a little bit more West Coast. And probably a little more East Coast teams go to London, but that's, okay, Jacksonville, it's got to be a 7-8 hour flight. It's about 5-6 hours over the Atlantic, but you got to get from Jacksonville to New York and then New York there. Then you got jet lag and you're tired. So I don't really get and what's the difference? The London team can't watch, people in London can't watch the NFL. I know when I was in Germany, I thought it was on. I know I saw it, and I was in Austria. It was like the game of the week was on there. You could get NFL at midnight or whatever. Let's see. Ex-Dolphin Raheem Moser rips team following trade of Jalen Ramsey. Good for him. '49ers cornerback Lenore arrested in LA on obstruction of something. Don't really care. I want to get into that. Tyler Shaw, confident he can handle starting as a rookie. All right, well, what do you want him to say? Yeah, I don't think I can handle it. I need to sit and watch. All right, that's about it. So it's a bunch of bullshit. So let's go to scores and schedules. All right, let's just go through the line and then we'll go through others. So we got Philly 746.5. Line hasn't moved. It's Dak against Hurts, two kind of pretty weak quarterbacks. The Trends play against Dallas 14-3 last year and take Philly 15-3 as a home favorite. So it's more of a Philly play. Yeah, they get the rings, but I think that's okay. Defense, now we got to use last year's. Dallas was a 28 and Philly was an 18. Obviously, Philly had the best defense in the league. Uh, Dallas with the 28. Dallas's problems always, the bad teams' problems are always defensively. They don't have it. They give up too many points. So at 28, Dallas is going to be better. They got a new coach. I never liked their old coach. You still have Dak, who sucks. So, yeah, I mean, Philly should get him. That's a Thursday night game. Then we got KC at LA on Friday. KC 2.5, 45.5. It did move from 44.5 to 45.5. We got Mahomes against Herbert. We got San Diego with an 18 defense. Kansas City with a 19 defense. So 2.5 and 45.5. San Diego is 15-3 in a teaser last year, 28-7 the last two, if we can count it, because Harbaugh wasn't there 2 years ago. So we can go with 15-3. So they basically covered a lot. I think they play KC tough. This game is in Mexico or Brazil, I think. This game's in Brazil. So it kind of affects San Diego out of a home game. They go to Brazil, and then the other game will be in KC. So they really get screwed on it. You want to play at home. Although the way San Diego is at home with their thing, I don't know if it's an advantage. So Mahomes against Herbert. We'll see. KC, San Diego still struggling, not drafting Brock Bowers. Notice they took a tight end this year. Well, you already blew it because Brock Bowers is one every 10 years. All right. Jacksonville, 2.5, 46.5. Excuse me. Carolina's terrible. They both are. The guy from Colorado, where's he going to play? Are you going to play him at receiver? Or are you going to play him at DB? Where are you going to play him? Does that really help you? So, I mean, he's a good receiver. He's a good cornerback. You're not playing him at both. I don't see how in the NFL you're playing guys at two positions if it's after 1950. I mean, there's a reason Charles Woodson in prime time did not play the whole game at receiver and cornerback. They were both good enough. Well, Woodson in the pros never played receiver. He did at Michigan in the Ohio State game. He played 5 or 6 plays. Prime, if you notice, just played cornerback. He did play a tiny bit of receiver. So you telling me this kid out of Colorado is going to be able to play the whole game when nobody else can play the whole game or wants to at corner and receiver? And believe me, by the fourth quarter, he won't be good at either. So I don't buy it. I think it's a stupid idea. You still have Trevor Lawrence and you still have Steve Young. Carolina was a 31 defense, which explains why they suck, and Jacksonville at 26. They're both Z teams. Young against Lawrence. Play against Jacksonville last year, 15-2. Play against Carolina the last 2 years, 27-7. So that's what you have there. So we'll have to go on from there. It's hard to play. The game's a Z. Means both teams suck. And then you think, well, maybe the under 46.5 could be. Young's not going to do anything. Lawrence stinks. He just wants to run. So you're probably not going to generate a lot of points. The Giants at Washington. I was looking at Cam Scatterboo last year. He got 27 touchdowns and 1,700 yards. I believe 27 touchdowns. Maybe it was 21, but he got a lot of touchdowns, and I know he got 1,700 yards. So you add Cam Scatterboo, but I don't know. They're going to play this Titus guy instead. You're missing the point, Giants. This is why the Giants suck. They don't play their best players. You do add Russell Wilson, and you have the LSU receiver, Napier, or whatever his name is, Nagers, something. I think Malik Neighbors. So the Giants have some offense. Russell Wilson, coach still sucks. 24 defense, average. Washington, you got a great Daniels, great quarterback, 17-3 in a teaser last year. Play against the Giants in a teaser was 14-3 last year. I include the playoff stats. That's why there's 3 more games. Washington, an over team, 23 defense. The Giants, a Z team with the 24. I think they go to an over team. I think Russell Wilson is much better than people are thinking. And, he was hurt with a calf for 4 or 5 weeks. So he's got to get over the injury. That's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers at the Jets. He hurt his Achilles. Oh, he had a bad year. No, he didn't play. He hurt his Achilles. And then after it, is he really healthy? I mean, these serious injuries, just because the season starts doesn't mean these guys are ready. That's why I look at Hutchinson on the Lions going, this guy, there's no way this guy's ready in September. Cleared to practice does not mean you can play a game. Cam Rising was cleared to practice for Utah. He never got on the field for the whole year. He hurt the knee in the Rose Bowl. He never got on the field the next year, but he was cleared to play. He looked good. He had the knee brace on, but he couldn't play him. And I don't buy Hutchinson ready to go either. Anyway, Wilson against Daniels, pretty good edge to Daniels. Depending on who they had Eckler and they had Robinson and they had good receivers, a few of them. So the key is that offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury. I'm going to give you a note on Cliff Kingsbury. He was the coach at Arizona. Then he gets fired. And where does he go? He's the offensive coordinator for USC. So you have Lincoln Riley there and Cliff Kingsbury there. And who's your quarterback? Caleb. And Caleb sucks. If Caleb can't look good with Cliff Kingsbury and Lincoln Riley, Caleb must suck, right? So here comes Washington. Cliff Kingsbury is now their offensive coordinator, and Daniels looks like a superstar. It's him and Mahomes and Burrow now. So Caleb must really, really blow if you can't be successful with Cliff Kingsbury and Lincoln Riley. You got problems. All right, enough of that. We'll get to that when we talk about the Bears. So Washington's a 7-point and a 46.5. Wilson and Daniels. Trends are on Washington. 23 defense. That's Washington's weak points, their defense. Do they still have Bobby Wagner? And the Giants with the 24, they drafted a guy that's not going to help them in this game. You can't just come in as a rookie. You got to have that cohesive and play like a team. So your teammates have to know where you're going to be, and you only get that in a game. And so I don't care how good he was at Penn State. And by the way, not everybody who plays linebacker at Penn State's Micah Parsons. So, I think the Giants, if they play Scatterboo properly, which is inside the red zone and on third downs, and let him run the ball, and you can't tackle him, and Russell Wilson heats it up with Malik Neighbors, they could be better than a Z team. The 24 defense they got to improve, but Washington's 23 defense we have to see. All right, Pitt and the Jets. For some reason, Pitt's still a 3-point favorite. You had Aaron Rodgers' team, and you got Fields. Pitt's only favored by 3. Unbelievable. And the total of 39.5, that hasn't moved. Rodgers against Fields. Pitt had a 20 defense. You know they're going to have a good defense. The Jets with the 24, but a lot of their players are gone, as was the coach. Play against the Jets 15-2, 27-7 for 2 years. But you got a new quarterback this year, and this is the transition that I'm making away from trend analysis. How can you use this trend? I mean, you can't, because you had Aaron Rodgers playing, and now you got Fields, so they got worse. So I think play against the Jets, you can almost use this. Pittsburgh didn't really have a trend again. They had Russell Wilson, who missed 4 or 5 games, so now you got Russell Wilson there. So I think this spread's really low. Pitt -3 against the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. They still got T.J. Watt. Now they just switched the linebacker for a cornerback. So they'll have good defense. They got the running back from Iowa. And then you had DK Metcalf, who's much better than the guy Pickens that they let go. So it should be very more stable offensively with Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf. And then they got Johnson as the running back, who looked good at Iowa. So we'll see, but the Jets absolutely are terrible. This is more bet against the Jets than Aaron Rodgers. All right, Arizona, New Orleans. Arizona -642.5. Line hasn't changed. It was 4.5 initially. Now it's 6. We don't know who New Orleans quarterback is. I'm not buying Tyler Shaw. He's not going to do anything the first game. They should go with Jake Haener if he's physically able to play. We will see, but I don't know. I don't love Kyler Murray. He's okay. Arizona was the 22 defense, so they need to get it under 20. Really, in the pros, the under teams you want are under 20 defenses, and like a Pitt's a 20. San Diego's an 18, Kansas City's a 19, Philly's an 18. So you can see why the teams win. In KC, you really have to study it. You think it's all Mahomes and Kelsey and they're going to score a lot. No, it's their defense. Spagnuolo. And they were smart enough to sign Spagnuolo to a 5-year deal because he's already been a head coach, and he sucked at it, which is the point of trying to get these guys in who are assistants as head coaches instead of going and getting head coaches from college, real good ones. Like the Iowa State coach, I don't know why nobody's grabbing that guy. He's fantastic. He's winning with Iowa State. All right, so we got to see who New Orleans' quarterback is. Kyler Murray, we know, he sings and dances, and some weeks he's great, and some weeks he sucks. Some weeks he can pass. He needs help. Marvin Harrison is not that good. That was a wasted first pick. Oh, but he played at Ohio State, so he must be good. Yeah, okay. Oakland goes to New England, and New England's 342.5, up from 2.5. 42.5. Okay. Both are going to be defensive teams. This is Geno Smith against Drake May, and I'm not sold on Drake May at all. Oakland's problem was a 26 defense last year, New England 25. So you got new coaches in. Coach Pete against Vrabel. I like them both. They'll both make the teams much better. The coach is very key to the team winning. Look at Lombardi. Green Bay never had a winning season like in the 50s, and then Lombardi comes, and then they go to 5 championships in 7 years. And even when they lost, they were like, that's when Paul Horning missed because of the gambling. Each team, like the Niners with Bill Walsh, Montana got hurt. It's usually injuries that stop these teams. Steelers would have easily won in 76. Franco Harris hurts his ribs. Blyer gets hurt in the Baltimore game. So in the championship game against Oakland, they don't play. Well, if they play, they had beaten Oakland quite a few times. So it would have been a little different. Oakland might still have won, but I don't think so. So anyway, the Coach Pete is huge here. Geno Smith. You got Brock Bowers. You've added the best runner in college last year, Gentry. You've added some defense to go with Max Crosby, but you got a scheme with Coach Pete. We're going to run it and play defense. That's what he's going to do. Drop in a few passes to Brock Bowers. This looks like a real good under game. Drake May just wants to run. I don't know why everybody gets impressed when a quarterback runs. Like, oh, isn't he good? No, he sucks. He needs to throw the ball, not run it. So I think this is low scoring, and I think Oakland's a very live dog here. Miami at Indy. They're on an 8-game winning streak in baseball, but not in football. Miami's now jumped to a 1.5-point favorite because of Richardson being hurt, but he might play. And the total is 46.5. So we got Tag going against whom? Richardson? I don't know. Flacco's on Cleveland now. So I don't know who Indy's quarterback will be. Oh, I think it could be Daniel Jones. Oh, my God. So I can't believe he's still in the league. At what point? He's terrible. At what point why would you pick him up? Well, he's got experience, but he sucks. I never understood this. It's like some guy in accounting who doesn't know how to do Excel, and he goes to another company, and I can't do Excel. Yeah, but you got experience, but I can't do Excel. All right. So I don't love the game. I don't love Miami on the road. They're a good home team. Play against Indy was 17-0 last year. That's how you play. That's how you get Richardson, and you get what you pay for. Play against Indy, 17-0, 29-5 the last 2 years. So they very rarely win, and if they do, it's close. That's 29-5 overall. That's when they're a favorite and the dog at home and on the road. So I like Miami as a dog. And again, if Richardson plays, it's an over. If he doesn't, I don't know. We got to see who the quarterback is. Cincinnati and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, 5.5, 44.5 at Cleveland. I don't know who Cleveland's quarterback is. If it's going to be probably Flacco. Kenny Pinkett sucks. Dylan Gabriel should be the quarterback. And anytime Prime Jr. hits the field, we're betting against Cleveland. I think Cincinnati will be really focused here after starting slowly last year, costing them the playoffs because Joe Burrow realizes, hey, I got Chase and I got me and Chase. We only have so many more years. Both have 26 defenses, which is surprising for Cleveland with Myles Garrett to have a 26 defense. Cincinnati, on the other hand, has Trey Hendrickson. And I know they added the running back, Ty somebody from Texas Tech, who's very good. They got him late. It's like they're not drafting the running backs till late. It's a big mistake. So this guy's really good out of Texas Tech. Ty Brooks, I think. And then you have, we got Burrow. We know we got Chase and T. Higgins. And then defensively, if they keep Hutchinson and then a couple other guys they drafted, they can sign everybody and off they go, then that's fine. Then I do not see Cincinnati losing this game. Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Tampa Bay 2.5, 49.5. Games in Atlanta. Hard to believe you're making Penix against the Baker. You're making Penix the dog at home. It's crazy. You won't probably see that again. Tampa Bay was 16-2 last year. Play against Atlanta 14-3, but most of it was with Kirk Cousins, and we know why he sucks. That's the other reason. Kirk Cousins sucks. He goes to Minnesota. He sucks. They don't even want him, and then Atlanta signs him and gives him a big contract. You're like, what are you expecting to happen? Probably Atlanta had shit quarterbacks, so they just want to get somebody who was good. Anyway. So I'm just kind of surprised that Penix is a home dog. I think this is a high-scoring game, but I think Atlanta is a very strong play here as a home dog. San Francisco, Seattle, Frisco, 1.5, 45.5. Get this game in already. The Niners, 26 defense. Seattle with the 22. Purdy against Darnold. But Frisco's got McCaffrey back. They lost Deebo Samuel. They still have Kittle. And they got better defensively. They got rid of some of their bad defense, and they brought in some new guys on free agent and on draft. So I think Frisco plays much better this year. And they're laying 1.5. Seattle is not a very good home team. They're certainly not a good home dog team. So we got Purdy against Darnold. Darnold's terrible. All you got to do is blitz him, and he caves, and he can't read the blitz. Purdy was pretty good. I think Purdy's much better than Darnold, but McCaffrey's the key here. I like the Niners. You get 4.5 with the Niners. Jesus, that's crazy. Tennessee at Denver. We've got Denver laying 7.5, 41.5. We got Cam Ward, I guess, against Bo Nix. Not even close. Nix is much better. Tennessee with the 27 defense. I don't see that getting better. And Denver 18. Now, the only way a defense can get better is if the offense holds on to the ball more, gives them less percentage. So I'm running a 6-minute drive. They're not scoring on me. That's one way the defense looks better than it is. But I'm not sold on Cam Ward. Watch his film from Washington State. He's not. Play against Denver 28-6. Take Denver last year 16-2. Play against Tennessee 15-2 last year 28-7. So they're both bad against the spread, but Denver's getting better at 16-2, and Tennessee play against was 15-2. So this is definitely a Denver game. Bo Nix at home and in Denver, and Cam Ward's not going to just going to light it up. Houston and the Rams. We've got the Rams 2.5, 45.5. Stroud against Stafford. Both teams 16-3 against the number. LA 31-6, Houston 30-8. So both have been good at covering. LA's defense got much better last year after losing Aaron Donald. Stafford's there. He gets Devontae Adams and Puka. It's going to be really good for Stafford. Stroud. I was watching the Houston-Detroit game, and he has moments where he looks good, and then he has moments really bad. That interception in the end zone changed the game around. Houston should never have lost that with a good quarterback, and that's where you question Lamar and you question Stroud. That they look good and they gain yards, but we're looking for them to win money, and they're not winning us money when Baltimore blows 10-point leads to Oakland and Cleveland. I'm not seeing it. I don't smell what he's cooking, so that's what you got to be careful with. So not a big. Stafford wins the game here. Laying 2.5. You can get more than a field goal. I think it could be an under game with this Houston defense. So we'll see. Detroit, Green Bay. We got Green Bay 1.5, 49.5. Now it's odd that the number hasn't changed, and yet Detroit lost their their all-pro center Ragnow, and he retired. Hudson said is not ready. So Green Bay's 1.5. Golf against Love. The Lions 30-8, and Green Bay 15-3, 30-7. So they both cover pretty good. Green Bay's usually good as a home favorite. Well, usually good at home. Both teams, I think, are over. Detroit was a 23 defense, but I don't buy that. And then Green Bay was a 20. Near the end, Detroit was a 40 defense. Green Bay, not great defensively. They got my guy from Georgia, number 7. That's about it. You just don't know. You're just looking, and you're just assuming it's an over. Detroit with 2 new coordinators. Golf has to do play action pass. Golf cannot drop back pass, right? His success at the Rams was with Todd Gurley. He'd run him, and then he'd play action pass. That little hitch patch. And same thing with the Lions. It's run, and then play action pass, and you hit the tight end, or you hit St. Thomas. Once in a while, you throw the ball to Calvin Williams. So I don't know what's going to happen with this new offensive coordinator. Did he study under the old one? He's got no experience. My point, I guess, will be Goff just calling his own plays, because there's no way this new coordinator is going to do anything but muck it up. So we will see. I mean, you got to like the over in the game. Again, Detroit's got a new defensive coordinator. I don't know. This should be an over. I hope I'm not overestimating Green Bay's offense. They had to add a Golden, the number 1 draft pick, as a receiver. And they've had 3 or 4 number 1 receiver picks before. I don't know about that. So it should be an over. We'll look at it. Baltimore, Buffalo. Buffalo 1.5, 51.5. Lamar against Allen. Lamar should be a slot receiver. He should not be a quarterback. He's fast. No argument. He can't throw. He chokes, throws a lot of picks in big games against better defenses. Teams that kind of keep him in the pocket and make him throw, then he's a dead man. Baltimore was 16-3 last year in the teaser. Buffalo 17-3. So both these teams cover. Buffalo outstanding at home, much more than on the road. Baltimore killed them at Baltimore last year. Buffalo got the revenge in the playoff game. Buffalo here at home. Both teams are really determined to beat KC, so they'll be pretty strong. Baltimore at the 21 defense, Buffalo at the 22. So you got 2 high-scoring teams. I don't think either team can stop the other, especially at Buffalo. Buffalo plays better. So look for this game to be high-scoring again. It's 1.5, 51.5. I don't know if I trust Lamar on the road, although he doesn't seem to get blown out. And then Buffalo, we will see with the 1.5. So we'll see. But Buffalo's a good home team, but this isn't the time to play them at home. I think you got to play over. Maybe you play Baltimore as a dog. They did play at Kansas City pretty well last year. In our last game, Minnesota and the Bears. The Bears are still 1.5-point favorites, which nobody can understand. 44.5 total. 2 terrible quarterbacks. J.J. McCarthy, who all he did was hand off at Michigan against Caleb, who, as I said, had Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator and Lincoln Riley as the head coach at USC, and he sucked. Can't handle pressure, doesn't, all he wants to do is kind of scramble around. Like Fran Tarkenton. We see how good he was. Minnesota was 15-3 in the teaser last year, which doesn't count because J.J. McCarthy's first year. Caleb had no stats that would make it. Minnie with the 20 defense and Chicago with the 22 defense is the key to this game. Both defenses will dominate. This is a under game all the way. I can't like Minnesota as the dog with J.J. McCarthy. I don't know who he is or what he does. He didn't do anything at Michigan but hand the ball off. He did hurt his knee, and he hurt his knee last year. And he played Georgia, and he got killed a couple years ago in the playoff. So he didn't do well against better teams. And that's how I look at the quarterbacks. Caleb doesn't do shit. So I don't have a quarterback, and I got two really strong defenses. I do have whatchamacallit, Jordan Jefferson for Minnesota. He's the best player on the field by a mile. But the Bears have this tough defense, and they showed you against Washington, they held them pretty good. And they couldn't score on Washington with their defense. So here comes a guy who's never been a head coach before. Spagnuolo was a great defensive coordinator on the Giants, right? And then he's head coach, and he did nothing. Now he's back as a DC, and he's doing a great job at KC. So here's Ben Johnson, who was nothing. He was a water boy. Then he became offensive coordinator 2 years ago. It was his first time he ever got to that level. Does okay. Then you come into the Belichick-Brady question. Was it Belichick was a great coach, or is it Brady bailed him out on most of the Super Bowls that he won? Which the answer is Brady bailed him out. Brady goes to Tampa, wins the Super Bowl. Belichick without Brady can't make the playoffs. So now you're sitting there going, okay, now we got to see what's going on here. So I'm not sure Ben Johnson was this great offensive coordinator. He got outsmarted in several games. The Baltimore game a couple of years ago, the Buffalo game last year, where he doesn't show up. He doesn't know how to game plan. And then he against Washington, he needed to run more. I watched that game. There's a thing on YouTube, the NFL net. It's an NFL, channel, and they basically just go play by play by play. It's like an hour, and you see the whole game. It's a 60-minute game, so you see it. And watching Detroit, Washington, he relied on Goff too much. Goff's terrible. He threw 4 picks and a fumble and a pick 6. And then the receiver threw a thing, which is really the question. Jameson Williams, who's really fast, you got him throwing a reverse option pass. He doesn't know how to read a defense. He doesn't know how to pass. And why do you want him there? You want him running the pattern because he's got good speed, and you can get a touchdown, boom. Or on an end around, you can get a touchdown, boom. So I don't understand why you want him throwing the ball. You want Goff throwing the ball, even though Goff's pretty bad. So Goff, that's the real Goff in the playoff game, right? He chokes. The big games just get him off his spot, and he falls apart. That's why the Rams got rid of him. He was only good with Todd Gurley. Hand the ball to Todd Gurley 20 times and then play action pass off of it, and he's a superstar. Throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp. But as soon as you lose Gurley and now he's got to go back and throw, he can't do it. He can only play action pass because there's all this play action, and then he kind of comes out around the side, and then the tight end goes with him. It's the whole play. That a high schooler could make the play, right? You fake the handoff, roll out, the guy's wide open. But when you get into the situation where you're not play actioning, like against Washington, and you're throwing these terrible interceptions, it's a playoff game. You can't throw the interceptions he did. So, one was just before halftime. Well, I saw Jalen Daniels didn't do that. Jalen Daniels was fine. throwing the Hail Mary against Washington against the Bears, and it was a touchdown. So I don't buy that as an excuse. I think he's not very good in big games, which we've known. That's why the Lakers, that's why the Rams got rid of him. They'd rather go with Stafford, and now it looks like the Lions are idiots because they had Stafford and they won a Super Bowl. So, like, if you had Stafford last year, you probably beat Washington. I don't know if you could have beat Philly, but you could have done better with the receivers and the running backs and the line that the Lions have. I mean, they're making Goff look good. Let you know how good Stafford would have done in that situation. So I think the Lions got fleeced on that trade. But anyway, so that's where you're at. You've got to watch these new offensive coordinators. So is it Ben Johnson? Is he that good? Or wait, we had St. Thomas and we had Williams and we had the running backs and we got a tight end and we got a good line that my grandmother could call the plays. Hey, Charlie, hit Williams, throw the ball to St. Thomas. Just run it with Gibbs and Montgomery, my guy from Iowa State. I mean, you could have just done that. Anybody can do that with that line and that. So I don't know. I don't agree with the coach on these going for twos and this. They cut the lead to 10 in the game, and he goes for two. Like, why? You're at a good number. Get the extra point. You're down 9. Now it's a touchdown field goal to win. No, he goes for two. Okay, maybe if he gets it, then he gets a touchdown. He goes for two again. Maybe I buy that. But the odds on getting 2 2-point conversions are so slim. Cut it to 9. You can get a touchdown. At the 2 and a field goal is much easier to do than trying to convert. And of course, he didn't convert the 2-pointer. So anyway, the coach, it's too much analytics. Analytics is ruining sports. Anyway, that's Pro Football Week 1 reviewing the review that we did. Let's just go through baseball. We got Washington over 9 in game 1, 2 units. Milwaukee under 8.5, 2 units. Miami on an 8-game winning streak, 2 units. Washington over 8 in game 2, 2 units. Milwaukee, 2 units in game 2. Milwaukee just to win. And Houston, 3 units to win their game. Sometimes you're betting on teams, sometimes you're betting against, or pitchers or quarterbacks. We're betting against Caleb. We're betting on Joe Burrow and Mahomes and Daniels. Soon it'll be Penix and Nix. We'll be betting on them. We're not going to be betting on Cam Ward or Prime Jr. or Tyler Shaw. We are not betting on those. I'm curious if anybody took Daly, the quarterback from Army. If you didn't draft him, you're a stupid idiot, because you get the ball 3rd and 2, he'll make it every time. You get the ball on the 5-yard line, give him 2 plays, and he's going to score a touchdown. He has a knack for the end zone, and he's a really good runner, but he can throw. So I don't know if you start him or not, but he was starting to throw well. But you definitely, I mean, you got Lamar out there because he can run. This guy's a much better touchdown guy than Lamar is. Lamar is fast. We don't question that, but he's not a quarterback. Joe Burrow is a quarterback. Bryce Daly from Army scored 32 touchdowns last year. And he passed the ball pretty well. So I don't know if somebody picked him up. If they didn't, you should pick him up, and you'll pick up the 3rd and 4th down every time, and you'll pick up and you'll score a lot more touchdowns. So I don't know. I would. The GMs just don't get it. Baltimore just doesn't get it. We'll play Lamar. Yeah. And how many Super Bowls have you even been in with Lamar? Oh yeah, none. So you haven't won any championships with him. But he's the league MVP. Okay. And how do you pick your league MVPs? Because that doesn't add up either. All right, so that's football week 1. We're gonna go swim, and yesterday we did go to the lake. So we're going to do the Big 12 later. We talk gold and economics in the first class. Basel 3, we talk Bobby Bo and his terrible contract. Now, don't get me wrong, he gets $1 million a year. That's good. The problem is the value of the million in the first year, 2001 or whatever, and the value of the million in this year, I think it started in 2011. The value of the million in 2011 and the value of the million in 2035 are not the same. The value of the million you got yesterday, it's nice you got $1 million, but it's not, it doesn't have the value of it. Let's say it's worth probably, maybe it's worth 100,000. Probably more like 10,000, but let's say it's worth 100,000. You can go to the grocery store and fill up his cart. But that's it. That's these deferred are not taking into account inflation because most of these idiots don't know what inflation is. They don't realize it's the value of the dollar. And when the dollar goes out, how much are you going to get paid then? So all these contracts with these deferred payments, like Shotani, he's fucked because he's got 680 million coming deferred. He'll never get it because the dollar will go out. And how are they going to pay him? So he's making a big mistake. Hopefully he's buying gold. He's obviously betting on baseball. I don't understand it. You got 680 million coming to you and you're betting baseball? And you have the guy do it and he can't speak English and then he denies it and it's all bullshit. Where's the guy having the money to bet? You do. So it's clearly Shotani betting. But oh my God, we can't acknowledge that, but we stopped Pete Rose from the Hall of Fame. Really stupid. Anything, questions, comments? All right. So we've got China just basically not trading with the U.S. Everything's going to Chinese money. China is broke. Now they can make these trades, but they're still broke. And the only way out of it is they got all this gold, which they're about to go into. Next week, we'll see the 8th and 9th. We'll see about what's going on with the gold. There. Because they have the gold-backed currency out there. Most people call it digital. Like the CBDC is not the same as the gold-backed currency that they're going to come out with for BRICS. Keep that in mind. So when China walks away from the CBDCs, and you can see it, you don't have to accept it. I mean, they might force it if you're getting Social Security or you're a government employee to take it. But I don't know any businesses that are going to take it. They don't like digital currency because they don't know what it is. They don't trust it. I went to the barbecue place and he said, I don't know. I won't take Bitcoin, but I will take gold and silver. Bitcoin was 105,000. And basically I saw a Bitcoin machine at a gas station where I guess you could buy a Bitcoin. I don't know what you're buying because there is no coin. So it's not like you go to an ATM and out comes out pops a Bitcoin. That's not what's happening. So I don't really know what you're doing with that. We will see. But if I had 100 grand, I'm not buying a Bitcoin. I'm buying roughly 27 ounces of gold. That's what I would do if I had 100 grand. I think when I did it, I bought 50 or 60 ounces, 40. My friend had $100,000 and I believe he got 55. I think gold was 2,000 an ounce. So I think he got like maybe 45 ounces of gold with his 100,000. Now you'd get 30 ounces of gold. So that's so you can see how the value of gold's going up and the dollar, like you don't buy the same amount of gold as you did before. So keep an eye on China. They're mucking it up. The U.S., the tariff thing, I don't know. With Trump, you don't know what he's doing. The big beautiful bill. He's cutting taxes, but I don't know what else is in it that's any good or bad. Are the tariffs still there, and how much? That's a killer. That makes the cost go up, and then to stay in business, I got to raise my price if the market will let me, or I'm going out of business. Either way, it hurts because you want competition. So the tariffs are just stupid. Yeah, I know in the 1800s we used tariffs. We never had income tax before. Look how powerful we became, and then you start putting in the central bank, which I'm not sure if all decided for World War I and World War II. If J.P. Morgan was behind it, and you got the defense contractors selling arms to both. J.P. Morgan did that. He sold arms to both sides in World War I, and he did the central bank, right? The Fed. J.P. Morgan was behind it, and then all of a sudden, 6 months later, a war breaks out, and he's selling goods, arms to both sides. And then here comes Hitler, and here comes massive inflation by Germany. Here comes Hitler in World War II, and all they do is steal gold in World War II. So you just wonder, what was that in the plans when they went to the Federal Reserve? 1913, you have two major wars within 20 years of it. Not a real good thing. So it just makes you wonder what's really going on. Just like 9/11, there's no way we didn't have an F-18 out there. So we allow not only one plane to hit one trade center, but we don't put up defense, and we let a second plane hit another trade center, and both of them are blown up the way the Stardust was, where it was all mechanism. You had a building go down without being hit, Building 7, and you had $1 billion in gold stolen, which nobody wants to say. Oh, it was terrorists. No, it was a planned thing. Obviously, you held the F-17s down. And it's disgusting and a disgrace, but this is what we live in when you got idiots running government. The government needs to be blown up. You need competition with the government. I don't see government's a monopoly, even though there's Democrat and Republican. And that's the idea, is there's competition. That's supposed to be the idea, but the lobbyists pay everybody, so there's no more competition. They all get their little suitcase of $1 million, and they're all happy, even though the $1 million, as Bobby's saying, isn't worth much. So to recap, Bobby Bo, you got another 10 years of this $1 million or whatever to 2035. You're going to be screwed soon, because you're not going to get the money, because when the money goes out, what are you going to get? You ask for gold, you can't get it. You should be taking the $1 million you got yesterday. Now you got to pay tax on it. So you're really not getting $1.2 million. After tax, you're getting 500,000, of which it's not worth much. And then to buy the gold, which is now 3,400 an ounce. So maybe you're buying 30 ounces of gold with your $1.2 million. If you don't put it into gold, you really have nothing. So buy your gold and silver, Bobby Bo. If you want help, just let me know. But you know how I feel. I've already told you. So anyway, don't do these deferred things. I know, and I was getting I'll give you an example of me. I had left Hiram Walker, my Canadian club. I worked there 3 years, and they were sold out. They were sold to 7-Up or something. But when I hit 59, I was getting a pension. And basically, for the rest of my life, and it was going to be like $200 a month for the rest of my life, I could get this pension. Or option B, I could get a lump sum of $25,000. I chose the lump sum, and then I could buy gold with it. What are you going to do with? I think it was maybe $200 a month. What are you going to do with it? What's it going to pay? It doesn't pay anything. All right, add it to my Social Security, okay, but it doesn't pay you anything. $200 a month, but 25 grand, I can buy some gold, which has gone up consistently. So just be careful. But I took the lump sum. I advise anybody to take the lump sum and turn it into gold, because you don't have much time left if you take the dollars. Like Bobby, what's Bobby going to do in 3 or 4 years when the dollar's worthless? His million is just 10 cents. So he's getting screwed every year. So he needs to sue his attorney. He needs to demand the Mets pay him in gold or silver, but not in, back up the truck and ship me $1.2 million in gold. And then, Bobby Bo, the best thing is there's no tax on it, because it's not income. It's gold. Gold is gold. So anyway, that's what you need to keep your eye on, Bobby, is the get it to gold. I know they won't pay you that, but you need to turn it into gold as soon as you can, the $1.2 million. But you're not even getting $1.2 million. I assume they're paying. You got to pay tax on it. So at best, you're getting 600,000 of the $1.2 million, which is one trip to the grocery store, fill the cart, and there's your $1 million. There's your 600,000. So again, you're getting screwed, because the 100,000 you're getting now is worth far less than the 100,000 you would have made. Had you just got the whole 35 million, at that point you could have bought a shitload of gold and you'd have been fine. And, it's just stored in gold, and you don't. I know you're comfortable getting $1 million a year. You think it's a good thing, which it would be if they didn't inflate the shit out of it. But because they did, the $1 million you're getting after taxes is nothing. So let's say 600 grand after tax, and then what? Well, yeah, but it's not worth anything. I've lost 99% of my value. So like I say, maybe you're getting 60,000 in value out of your $1.2 million. So yeah, you're not even getting. Yeah, you got to pay tax on it. So you're not getting much. Anyway, turn it into gold. Sue your attorney or whoever made this stupid deal, who didn't factor in inflation. How do you not factor in inflation? Are you kidding? They probably laugh. That's why the Mets did it. They go, shit, he's not factoring in inflation. Plus, the dollar probably won't be there in 30. In 10 years, the dollar won't be here. So I don't know what you're going to get paid after that. Anyway, that's what's going on. So, Bobby, I hope to see you soon. Happy July 1st day. Happy July 4th, everybody. I don't know. I think I'm going up to the mall up north July 4th. They're open 10 to 5 or something. So we're going to leave early to get there. Daria feels better. The daughter's still in the hospital, hopefully coming home Monday. And that's what's going on. So anyway, have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. And I will be back later for sure with the Big 12. So I'll probably go swim, and then I went to the lake yesterday. It was pretty cool. It was about 80 degrees out. When it was 100, I wasn't going to walk it, but 80 was pretty good. So I'll probably do that again. That was good. All right. Well, have a good day, and I will talk to you shortly, with probably tonight with the Big 12. Let's leave as we always do with gold. $33.50. We're making our move. Just that 10 o'clock drop, and then off it goes. So somebody asked me yesterday about day trading. You can see the game plan. It goes down at 10 o'clock every day. And then you just wait. So I could have bought it at 33, 36. It's now 50. It's up 14. So if I bought 1,000 shares, this is gold. So if I bought Newmont Mining, let's say it's up 80 cents, I'd have made $800. Took my profit and ran, because anytime you can take your profit in the stock market and run. Silver 36.51. It's not getting. We saw it at 37 for a minute, so we want to see it at a little bit more. All right, that's your day. I did talk Basel 3 on my other video, so enjoy. Questions, comments, let me know. And you can ask me comments. I normally get a lot of comments. I don't know, must be July 4th week. Luke and Bobby and some of the guys are probably busy. Anyway, have a good day then. www.teaserking.com. You get my email, questions, or comments there.